This is Dirshu Mishnah Berurah as we continue learning Siman Lamed Beis. Today we're going to be learning Sif Mem Hey through Nun. We actually left off at the end of Sif Mem Dalid. So just to wrap that up, the Machaber by Sif Katan Reish Yud Aleph teaches us that a bit of the hair of the Ritzuyas have to be seen, of the Tefilin themselves, have to be seen chutz labatim, outside of the batim. This is actually very interesting, that if you ever looked at your Tefilin and you were wondering why there are those little strings sticking out of the bottom of the Torah, the bottom of the base, that is this halacha. So says the Mishnah Berurah in Sivkatan Reish Yod Shal Egel, Kadesh Yizkar Maisa Egel, the reason it has to be made from the calf, to remember the Maisa Egel, V'lo Yechet V'gam Kedei L'chaper Alav Zeh, to give us kapara. Because El Yerabah says El Yerabah the Mizah Atam, for this reason, Toiv Lasso is called taken Tefillah Me'ar Egel. Everything should be done from the Egel. L'Afukim Yosin Shaisin or Ritzuyas Me'ar Tayash. This comes to exclude from those that makes the Ritzuyas from the Tayash. Continues Mishnah Berurah, Sivkatan Reish Yud Aleph, Ksas here a little bit of the hair. Ein Magen Avram, Vayim Chadusha V'Kiveger, Shehiskim Shasir Ayoytze Yepachayis Me'erech She'oyrash, be less than a barley's width. That what sticks out, which means a teeny little bit of hair. These little strands should be sticking out of the base of your tefillin. Chutz labatim. Yesh aimim she'eitz labatim. Some say it should be next to the batim. Shemunach bo parshas kadesh. Now we're discussing where do these little strands come out of your tefillin. Some say it comes out of the base next to the parsha of Kadesh, the first parsha. V'yesh aimim eitz vayim shemaya, the second parsha. V'toiv she'eitz parshas vayim shemaya b'tzad ha'poineh. It's better should be that should be next to the Parshas Kadesh, next to the Parsha of Kadesh. So again, now we're learning that those little strands that stick out of your tefillin, which I'm sure everyone will recognize tomorrow morning when they look at their tefillin, does have a halachic reason where they're coming from. Continues the Mechaber and Sif Memhei Yitin Kol Parshas Abatim Shelah. You should put the parsha of the batim, zekufa me'uma, the parshas should be standing upward inside the tefillin, bebesa, in its appropriate compartment. Says the Mishnah Berurah of Katan Reish Yud Gimel zekufa, kederach kriyasa, like the way that you read a parsha, kederach shema'amidim sefer Torah behechol, and like the way that a sefer Torah is placed in a hechol, which of course is up and down, which actually is interesting to note, that the Bach, and as the Minigan bells, is that they put the sefer Torah not straight up and down, but rather lying down. But the evidence, if you put it lying down, does not passel up the tefillin. You have to fix it. Even though b'diavad it's okay, what you should do is, you should always fix it and put it standing straight up. Continues the Machaber and Sif Mem Vav. It should be the topmost line, the Gilyon Tachtoin, the Tzad Peh HaBatim, and the bottom towards the bottom. Says the Ramah, and the beginning of the parsha should be on the right side. If you open a Vakarni, Kehil Chasan. Continues the Mishnah Berurah in Sivkatan Reish Yud Dalid Tzad Peh Dilav Achi Yamdu Oisios Afuchas Neged HaKoirei. Because if not, as you unroll the parashas, if you were to take them out of the tefillin, the letters are going to be on the back side, and you're not going to be able to see them. Kil Chasan, it should be appropriately. The order of placing the parashas in the bottom, Gankin Sudarim Lifnei Yemina Koiri, should be from the right of the reader. Which means if you open up your tefillin and you take out the parashas one after another from the right to the left, they're going to be in order. Metzchila parashas Kadesh Yemina, Ivacha parashas Yem Kavecha, Shar Kol parashas, and it goes in order. K'mosh Kasav Sim Lam Dalet Al Kain Tzarech Liyisayva Galila Shuroish Parshas. Therefore, you have to roll it in a way that the end of the roll, which is obviously the beginning of the parsha, is Gamke Mitzad Yamin Negdai. And again, the point is that if you take out the parsha and you start unrolling it, you're going to see the beginning of the parsha as you read it. It says the Mechaber Sif Mem Zayin. Imkas of Kol Arba Parsha. If you wrote all four parshas beklaf echon on one klaf, Ksher Mitzkasha Filoin Revach B'Neimin, if there's no space, Ubelvad Sheichot Oy Meshicha Bein Kol Bayis Ve'Bayis. What do you need? You need to have something separating each and every bias, a string or something. We know already, we've learned this many times, that Tefillin Shal Yad is all in one house, one compartment, it's all written on one parsha. And you roll it from the end to the beginning, and then what do? Now we're learning that after you roll up the parshas, you're supposed to put a cloth, a parchment on top of the parsha, and you're supposed to tie it with a strand from the calf, then put it into the compartment like the Shal Rosh. If you wrote it on the 4 parchments. You put in 4 different compartments. Yechasa means to cover, or al arba batim, you have to cover it up with hide. If you made the shel yad from 4 compartments, as long as you afterwards put on something on top of it to hold it together as one, it's going to be okay. Says the Ramav, the minig is to connect it with glue. All 1 clef. These are little devek kosher. You should use appropriate glue. Says the Mishnah Berurah, if Kadan reached a zayin afilu ein rotzaloymar. Certainly, if there's actually space, that it's fine. You could cut it. This is, of course, talking about the shel reish in separate compartments. After even though you wrote it on 1 clef, if you subsequently cut it, it's going to be considered 4 separate clef. Parshis, it's going to be kosher. Even though there's no space, you have to put each one in its own compartment. Not standing up, kosher, as we've seen in the previous sifim. Even if the parshis is lying down, but the evidence kosher. That's only la mitzvah, but it's not likuva. Does not hold back. Or a string. You wrote them all in one high. You have to separate the parashas now. In order to have a separation after a separate batim. Then, of course, if it's actually on 4 separate klofim, 4 separate parchments, then you do not actually have to separate them. These are less some you always have to have a separation. And of course, that is the meaning. Of course, that's one should do. It's going to be Yaitz with the Yavid Sheikh Kisvara Rishayna. Certainly, if you put in 1 bayis, which we know the shel yad is supposed to be in 1 bayis, and that is better. And its mitzvah is to put them all together. Shred all on 1 clef, the shel yad, of course. If you already wrote it, it's an interesting b'diavad. Usually b'diavad means you already put it in, you already finished it. Here b'diavad just means you already wrote it. You let it do lechatchila if you already connected them. You let it cut it up. You let it write the 4th parsha and then connect them. We'll finish with Sivkat and Reish Chof that the Mishnah Berurah teaches us Davei Kasher. If you can include, you have to use Kasher glue. Because connect them, as we've seen, to not ma'akim and mele in kapeda b'mad. Therefore, it's not going to be kapeda b'diavad as long as it is attached. And we'll pick up from Sif Memches in the next year.